Yeah. Okay, right. So today I'm not planning to do anything new. I just have to go over what we've done thus far, but this time inside the Gemara rather than talking it through. So we're back to the fridge, and here we go. So Amar Rav Huna says, Mashpin Oisai, when somebody has, let's say, a guard looking after something for somebody, claims that the thing has disappeared. Mashpin Oisai Shavua She'ena B'Shusai. We make the guard take an oath that the thing he was looking after is no longer in his possession. My time, what's the reason? We worry, Shema Einov Nosamba. Maybe he liked the look of it and wanted to keep it for himself. So he says that it was struck by lightning or bandits came and took it, whatever it was, and therefore he can't be held responsible. We worry. Maybe it's in the back room, and when everybody's gone home, he's going to sell it on the market. So we don't allow him to do that. And even if he says, I'll pay for it, even if he says that it was his fault and he'll pay to replace it, we still have him make the oath because we worry that he may want to have it for himself. And he's prepared to pay the going price now because he knows it's going to go up in value in 2 weeks' time. So he'll speculate on this thing and make a profit and stop the other guy making profit. So that we don't tell. Now, we're going to ask a question from Brisa. And this Brisa is going to end up challenging Rav Huna. And the way this works is the Brisa has a particular worry that forces it to do a particular thing. And if you have Rav Huna's oath as part of the mix, that worry should not be there. So the fact that the Brisa has this worry seems to prove that Rav Huna's wrong. Because if Rav Huna's oath was taking place as part of the mix of this process, then the Brisa's concern wouldn't be there in the first place. The fact that the Brisa still has this concern indicates that the Brisa does not think Rav Huna's oath is relevant. You with me so far?
There's going to be a big reversal.
No. I'm being as straight as I can because I just want to make this simple. Thank you. All right. So there are two stages to this process to working this out. First of all, we're going to work out what the Brisa says, and it's not very clear, so the Gemara has to work out what it means. Then we're going to use that to challenge Rav Huna. Then after that, we're going to put the Brisa in a particular context where Rav Huna himself wouldn't want his oath to be applied. So in fact, it's nothing to do with Rav Huna, it's a separate case, and it's all fine. There's three stages to this. One is understanding the Brisa. Second is using the Brisa's concern to challenge Rav Huna. And thirdly, to say that in fact, the reason why the Brisa has this concern is because Rav Huna's oath wouldn't be applicable in this particular scenario. That's how it's going to play out. So let's go through this now and see how it works. First stage is, what exactly is the Brisa saying? Mesive, we're going to ask a question. So now you'll see the third word in is Hamalve, and it's got a star and a gimel next to it. Hamalve is coming out of mashkin. If somebody lends money to his friend with the pledge, the Avada mashkin, and the pledge got lost, the pledge is the collateral, the fridge in our example, and it got lost. The Amalai, and the lender says to the borrower, I lent you a seller on this fridge. Shekel hayashove. The fridge is only worth a shekel, a tiny amount. Colin asked, why would such a loan take place? And my answer was that maybe the lender argues, I didn't realize until I actually sat down and valued it and looked at it properly in the cold light of day, it's worth next to nothing.
Basis can tell a lie that the fridge is not there.
Well, we the base don't actually know. We don't know. That's a problem. That's exactly the problem. We don't know what to do. So that's why we need this writer to tell us what to do. You're spot on. If we knew it had a picture or witness or a receipt or something, well, we got nothing. All we got is a story.
Isn't it obvious that you would say? Isn't it obvious that you would say our main seller?
Very good, very good, very good. Okay, so the lender says it was worth. I lent you a seller, and by the way, a seller is 4 dinar coins. It's 4 dinar make 1 seller. So the lender says I lent you a seller, and that's not argued. Everybody agrees the loan was for a seller, and the lender says that fridge you gave me was worth a shekel. So now you need to give me the rest of my loan back. And the borrower says, what do you mean? That fridge was worth a whole seller. And now you've lost it. We quit. I'm walking away. In such a case, Hotel, the borrower does not have to make an oath. He walks away. Because if somebody challenges you for a loan in Basting and you deny it outright, without any proof that you owe the guy money, you're Potter. You just walk, you walk free. So that's the deal. Then the Bryson brings another case, and this is the case we're going to be harking back to. The lender says it's worth a shekel. And the borrower says, like Ella, rather, you lent me a seller. The fridge was worth 3 out of the 4 dinar. So you're claiming that I owe you a seller minus a shekel. I claim I owe you only 1 dinar, just 1/4 of the original loan. What's the din in such a case? He's liable, which means he's liable to make an oath. Why? Classic case. I know this. Bava Metsia, when the borrower admits part of what the lender claims from him, he has to make an oath on the rest of the loan. Easy stuff. So at the moment, who are we thinking makes the loan? Who are we thinking makes the oath? The borrower. Now we're going to find out later that's wrong. But the moment we don't know that, all it says is chayot, that there is an obligation for an oath. And at the moment we think frost and partial, it's the borrower makes the loan because the borrower is doing a partial admission to a claim of a loan against him. And when you admit to part of a loan, you have to make an oath on the rest. So we think simple, it's the borrower. So for the moment, Michael,
surely they should both make it, because they both should make an oath, because the borrower should make the oath and the lender should make an oath. That's the value and that's the value. They should both make an oath. They both have to make an oath.
We don't allow people to make oaths if we can't carry through both of them. If you can't follow through the implications of both of what they say, we can't do that. Just before you came on, we were talking about the classic case at the very beginning of Bava Metsia of 2 people coming to Basin holding a talis. And they each claim the entire thing. So they both make an oath and then they divide it. But they don't both make an oath that they own the entire thing, because we can't follow through that. We can't give the whole thing to both of them. There's only 1 talis and 2 people. Rather, they each make an oath that they don't own less than half. And then they get half each.
Which warrants it useless.
Neither of them. Just not good for neither of them.
Well, what are we supposed to do?
So somebody's lying.
Yeah, but you're right. Well, maybe not necessarily. They may both have jumped on at the same time. They may both think they got there first.
Now, in this case, if neither of them made an oath, then they would be enforceable at all.
Well, we've got basically has to come to the decision. That's the duty.
So in theory,
well, we know to case.
So I could wear half a talis to Shul, give the other half to Alan, and if anyone says anything, I say, "Where's the price for it?" It's just the beginning. You know, we had an argument, and we've got half a talis each.
But you're right. That's
how are we supposed to take all to pray? You need the whole talis. Yeah. So that's
wearing half your talis to Colin is enough for me.
No, I understand, but what I'm saying, the point I'm making is, I can't pray with half a talis because I need all the parts for Shema, and I need the whole talis.
Yeah, but you could, for example, if you own it jointly, you could have alternate weeks.
Oh, clever. Clever.
I'm hearing here Shakris and Musa, one was Shaka, one for Musa.
Clever.
You need to wait for that. You could take turns to wear it.
Can I have Kol Nidre, please?
You can have Kol Nidre. You can have it all anytime you want.
Kol Nidre is worth the whole of Simchas Torah, so watch out.
Yeah.
Alan, you're trying to pull a fast one.
But the point here Like you can't have them both make an oath and then not honor the outcome of those oaths. So if they both make an oath about what the fridge is worth, one says it's worth a shekel, the other one says it's worth a seller.
Rabbi,
Yeah,
you
just like
say this
saying,
often. Rabbi, you say this often about not making an oath, and there's a possibility it couldn't be fulfilled. But if you're making an oath with this whole borrower and lender piece in good faith at the time, with the knowledge and wisdom that you have at that time, and you're making that oath, surely that is okay or acceptable.
no,
It's not. It's
no,
not.
no. It's not enough that you think you're doing the right thing. If you make an oath, it has to be followed through.
But in life, Rabbi, how can you ever be certain about anything ever? There's so many times.
Well, don't make an oath then, and we don't. We're not in the habit of making oaths. Indeed,
Okay.
we have the culture of Orthodox Judaism is not to make oaths. We say
Yeah.
neder, frequently. I'm saying I'll learn to stick to this thing, but I'm not making a religious promise to do it. And we
Okay,
have
I understand that.
And we have
Can you be stopped? Can you be disqualified from making an oath?
yes,
So you
Yes.
can be disqualified. You're
Yes,
not allowed to
yes,
make an
of
oath. You come here, come to the court, but you're disqualified. You can't make an oath.
yes. If somebody's
And
known
is
to
that
be
the
a
case
crook
in
or a
this
liar.
situation?
Pardon?
Is that the case in this situation?
Not necessarily, no. It's just that we want to preserve the reputation of the borrower. We don't want him to make an oath that may be proven to be false afterwards, because it's not a good thing to do. So what we're going to find is the borrower is not allowed to make an oath when the lender might produce the fridge later and prove him wrong.
Rabbi, I know we seem to be asking a lot of questions about this.
Good.
It's just that I'm struggling to think at any time when anyone can ever make an oath ever when they are 100% certain that the oath may be incorrect or broken or wrong.
Right. You're quite right. It's so risky. There's a famous story in the Gemara about somebody who owed somebody else money, and he said he had to make an oath that he paid the money back. That was the situation that we were talking about. And the borrowers and the lender said, "But you're not paying back." He said, "Yes, I have." So he said, "Right." He said, "You prepared to make an oath?" He said, "Yes, I am." So the borrower stood up to make this oath. And he had a stick in his hand, and he gave the stick to the lender. You heard this story. He gave the stick to the lender and said, "Just hold my stick while I make this oath." So he made the oath, and he said, "I make an oath, my Bible oath, that I've given this money back to the lender." He did it. Nothing else can be done. Then he takes his stick back from the lender, and he's seen outside the court, unscrewing the top of the stick and bringing the money out from inside the stick. So when he handed the stick to the lender to hold it, he could say in good conscience, "I give him the money back," because he had no with the lender. So you're right. There's all sorts of theory that can go on.
Sorry,
What
Larry.
a story.
Rabbi, can you just say that again? Just sorry, I sort of missed
So
part of that.
the borrower wanted to make an oath that he paid the lender back. So he made the lender hold his stick, and the lender held the money that he owed him. So he could, while the lender was holding the stick, he made an oath that he paid the lender back. Funny.
Oh, wow. That is devious.
You never know what's around. I'll tell you something that happened to me last week. I got my keys just last week. These keys are very important. I've got my car key, which costs a fortune to replace. I've got shul keys. I've got my house keys, which again hard to replace. It's a special lock we've got on the front door. And so there's worth about £500, and I lost my keys, and I couldn't find them anywhere. And Rachel and I turned the whole house upside down, and we couldn't find them anywhere. And I knew I'd had them first thing Monday morning last week, and I couldn't find them anywhere, and it was driving me mad. And we looked at every conceit. You know what it's like when you do something, you look everywhere you possibly can, and it was nowhere. And I looked outside on the road and everywhere, nothing. And then Tuesday lunchtime, I was coming to, or maybe no, a lot of Tuesdays, Wednesday lunchtime, I was coming to shul, and I had to go to Koyakis, have a Levine in the afternoon. Went to Koyakis for me, and I crossed on the A41. I didn't go on the bridge, tut. I crossed at the reservation, which you shouldn't do. And as I walked along the central reservation, there were my keys on the
Wow.
On the central reservation, they were dropped out of my pocket on the way.
Wow.
So you're right, Alan. Truth is stranger than fiction. There they were, lying there. They'd been there for a day and a night. If it had been raining overnight, I don't know if my car key would have survived, but it's good as gold. And nobody saw them to pick it up and try them, on the cars in the area. And I just found the corner, Ashram Gardens, not far away. And they must have fallen out of my pocket as I was walking. And there they were. So yes, it's a funny old world. Odd things happen. And For that reason, we're very, very aware about making oaths. We don't like to do it. You're quite right.
So this is why I'm fascinated by and I'm loving it. Don't get me wrong. We're spending so much time talking about oaths, but they seem to be so rare and very seldom made. And so
Yes.
that's the thing why my brain is, yeah. Anyway,
We're blessed to live in such a culture where these things are not common. There have been people who do them. There was a story about a Dibuk where somebody was supposedly possessed by a spirit of somebody who passed away, and there was an elderly person who spoke to this man, and the Dibuk spoke and said, "I swear by the Ten Commandments, this and that and the other." And the elderly man said, "I remember that's just what he used to say." It was a remarkable. It was his signature oath, and it was people dancing for talking in this way, and that's how they verified it was being actually real. It was a real thing.
Rabbi, can I ask a related question? When you get married,
Yeah.
so I got married at Edgware United under the chuppah there. Is there an oath involved in that with my wife?
No.
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 So that's
the
different.
only oath you have there is to pay the shul.
So there's no oath. There's nothing. There's nothing. It's completely different.
No. Yeah, it's not.
And is there anything? What about a bris? That's not an oath. There's nothing we do in our day-to-day life.
No.
What about when the three a pigeon haben for Jack when he got bought from Lionel Katz with three pieces of silver?
No.
That's not an oath.
No.
Right. Okay.
Right. Let's come back to our situation here. But yeah,
okay.
All valid points, and thank you for that. Okay, so so our first case was where the borrower claims that the pledge was worth the entire value of the loan. He walks free. The second case was where the lender claimed that the fridge was worth a shekel, and the borrower claimed it was worth 3 out of the 4 dinar that made up that seller loan. In which case, the borrower only admits to a seller. Therefore, it says there is an obligation for an oath. Michael not unreasonably says it's the borrower who makes it. We're going to find out later that you're wrong, but no disrespect to you, Chas Shabbat. Right? Now, now we're going to twist it, where we're going to have the borrower claiming that the pledge was worth more than the whole loan. So now he's claiming back from the erstwhile lender. He's become the borrower's become the claimant because he claims that the fridge was worth more than what he borrowed. So let's have a look at this. First, the divine higher shaver. Sorry. So now you see there's it says at the end of the line, it says seller, the little dalad by it, by the word seller, on the left-hand side. The lender says, I lent you a shekel, and the fridge is worth a seller. Oh, sorry, we've done this one. Hold on. We've done this one. Okay. So you see, we've got seller with a dalad at the end of the line. We go down from there, 1, 2, 3 lines down from there. The first word at the beginning of the line is shover, and the end of the line also has the word shover. And we're going to go to the third reading now. It says seller. It's the third case in our price. Then I have Visani Allah of base higher shover. The borrower claims you lent me a seller, and the collateral I gave you was worth 2 seller. The lender says, I lent you a seller, and the collateral game was only worth that seller.
So we've got also the concept of interest, not to have interest.
Right.
Now this is cutting across all that. If you've got different values,
Yeah.
And you're claiming X, Y, and Z on the value of the fridge,
Yeah.
then in a sense, it is interest, not cold interest.
Not necessarily, because if, for example, I'll make your question harder before I answer it. Imagine we've got a case where the fridge was actually worth 2 seller. So the lender lends the borrower a seller. The borrower gives the lender the fridge is worth 2 seller, and the borrower can't pay up. He's skint. The lender can't just take the fridge. He has to sell it for 2 seller, give 1 seller back.
Yeah.
So there's no interest.
But that's assuming everybody on this in the first place.
Yes,
What if you can't get the seller for it?
Well, in that case, Michael's question doesn't start because my question was whether you could actually realize to sell it from the fridge. But you're right, if it's worth less than that, then we have to deal with that when we get there. And if it's worth considerably less than a seller, then he'll come back to the borrower and say you still owe me part of the money. You're right. You're right. But what we're talking about here is where you have a dispute about the value of the collateral. Okay, so again, the borrower says, you lent me a seller, and the collateral worth two seller. The lender says, like I lent you a seller, it's worth a seller, then potter. Then the erstwhile lender doesn't have to pay anything back to the borrower because he maintains he owes the borrower nothing. Because it says that the pledge was worth the same amount as the loan. Now the pledge has disappeared. It's all very unfortunate, so I'm not going to recoup my money, but I'm not going to pay any more. Forget that. Fine. Next case. What if the borrower says, you lent me a seller and the collateral is worth two seller? This is our fourth and final case. And the lender says, like he and I maintain that pledge was worth 5 dinar. So I owe you 1 dinar for the lost collateral, not the entire seller that you are claiming from me. So now the lender is admitting to part of what he owes the borrower in the wake of this lost collateral. So the borrower maintains that the fridge was worth 2 seller. Now he wants a whole seller back from the lender. The lender said, no, it was worth 5 dinar. So 4 dinar was what I lent you, so forget that. I owe you 1 dinar. So now the lender is admitting partial blame to the borrower, and he has to make an oath. Chayil, he's got to make an oath. Then the Brisa comes out with a blinder. Minishba, who makes an oath? You see, it says me at the end of a line there. Minishba, who makes the oath? Misha Hapikote Edsel, the person who has or had the pledge, the collateral. Shema Yishovazeh, lest this one make an oath. The Yotzi Halot is Hapikote, and the other one then takes out the pledge. Now we're now up to, in the middle of the line, it says Ahai, and you got a star by in the middle of a line. Just a second. So I'm pointing to it on the screen share there. And just make sure everybody's with me. Yeah, you got it. We are over.
Alan, where are you today? Are you in the forests of Leeds again?
Okay.
I'm in Farringdon today.
Lovely.
Okay.
End of the Northern Line.
So
What's that?
End of the Northern Line.
Farringdon? No, in the city, in town.
Yes.
okay. So Ahai, the Gemara asks, when the Brisa said, who makes an oath? It's the person who has the deposit with them. What case is that talking about? So we would say, well, don't know, or every case or whatever. So the Gemara talks you through it. Ilemar, if it is to say, as Sefer, the very last case. So the Brisa is coming out and laying it on with the trowel. That what? That the person who had the pledge has to make an oath. Now, in the last case of the Brisa, that was the case where the borrower claimed the pledge was worth 2 seller, and the lender claimed it was worth a seller and a dinar, 5 dinar. So now the lender is admitting to owing the borrower part of what the borrower claims from him. The borrower claims the extra seller that he maintains the fridge was worth over the seller of the loan. And the lender says, no, the pledge that you gave me is only worth 1 dinar more than the original value of the loan. Therefore, I'll just pay you back that dinar now that the fridge got lost from my premises. So the Gemara says, well, obviously, you don't need to tell me that. That's anyone knows that. The lender is now the one who is being claimed against because he's got his a claim from the borrower for this whole extra seller, and he says he only owes the borrower a dinar for the remainder of the value of the lost fridge after the loan's been deducted. So it's obvious in such a case that the erstwhile lender is now become the debtor, and because he's admitting to part of what the erstwhile borrower claims from him, he has to make a shavua. That's obvious. So the Brisa says, so the Gemara says, when the Brisa makes a point of saying the person with the pledge makes the oath, meaning in that last case, the lender, well, obviously he does. So the Gemara says, no, you don't understand. The V'teiputle, well, it's obvious, the Shvua Gabi Malvahi, obviously the Shvua is with the lender. The Hakamoidi Mitzah Satana. He's omitting to part of what the borrower claims from him. The borrower claims an entire dinar. The lender claims he only owes, sorry, the borrower claims an entire seller. The lender admits to only a dinar out of that seller. So obviously the lender has to give that dinar and also make a shavua, an oath on the rest. I don't need the Brisa to tell me that. Ella Omar Shmuel, rather, what does Shmuel say? Aresha. Now we come to Michael's case. We turn Michael's case on its head.
Rabbi, what happens at this point, Rabbi? What happens if the lender at this point says, you know what? Okay, I've got your fridge. It's around the back here. I'm not giving you any more money. Here's your fridge back.
We're all done.
But and then it's done. We're finished.
Yeah, but that's not Halavai. Halavai, we had that. It's not our case.
But he's only giving the fridge back because he's saying you owe me more money. He's not giving the fridge back. He was trying to obviously inflate the price.
Yeah.
So the ruling is it leaves room for like a lot of this that we're learning, leaves a lot of room for dishonesty.
Yes. But what are we to do? We have to do something. That's the job of the Mason. They have to administer justice as best they can. So what do we say? So let's go back to, it's not our last case, because it wouldn't need the Brisa to tell me that in the last case where the borrower claims the fridge was worth 2 seller and the lender claims it's worth 5 dinar, obviously the lender would have to make a shavua in that case because he's admitting to part of what the borrower is claiming from him. So it can't be that's the case that the Brisa talks about when it says the person who had the fridge has to make that. I know that. Rather, it's talking as Sefer Dereisha, the second case in the first half of the Brisa. What's that? So the Gemara says, I remind you, where the lender says, I lent you a seller and the fridge is worth a shekel. And the borrower says, like ela seller havisani alav shloisha dinarin hayashava. And the borrower says, you lent me a seller, this is true, but the fridge I gave you wasn't worth a shekel, it was worth 3 dinar. So I'm only going to pay you 1 more dinar, not a seller minus a shekel. I'm going to pay you 1 more dinar, and that's your lot. And Michael said before, not unreasonably, that because the borrower is admitting to part of what the lender is claiming from him, the borrower has to make the oath. And here Shmuel blows it apart. He's liable. The Shvuah Gabi Levahu, the oath should be said by the borrower. The Omer Rabbanon, and the rabbis in the Brisa say, Lishtaba Malva. The lender has to make the oath. What? The lender didn't agree to admit to part of what being claimed from him. It's the other way around. He's claiming off the borrower in this second case in advice. So why is the lender making the oath? Should be the borrower, like Michael said.
Well, what is the oath? If he's making the oath that it is worth what he said it's worth,
Yes. That's what he does.
despite
That's what he does.
so then he's willing to make the oath that it's worth 50 dinar, and I'm willing to swear that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's an open and shut case.
What if he's lying about the value? This is where I'm getting. If he's lying about the value, this is my problem with it.
Well, the hope is that when he actually faces an oath, that'll make him tell the truth. That's the hope.
But I'm saying if somebody says the base thing says you've got to make an oath, then yes, I will definitely make the oath. I know it's worth what I'm saying. So where does that leave the borrower?
Well, I mean, once the lender's made this oath, the borrower has to pay up. We always follow through on an oath. If the lender makes an oath that the fridge is only worth a shekel, and that the borrower owes him a seller minus a shekel, well then so be it. But my question, the Gemara's question is, why are you switching around? Well, normally it's the borrower who makes the oath. Why is it now the lender? So the Gemara says right at the bottom of the page, Shema Yishava Zeh v'yoytzi halo esapikodim. Because if you go like Michael, and we allow the borrower to make the oath, where was the fridge last seen?
With the borrower.
No, with the lender. The lender took it as a pledge. It belonged to the borrower, but the lender had impounded it as a pledge for his seller loan. So if we allow the borrower to make an oath, the fridge was worth 3 dinar on my Bible oath. Then what if the lender does a column and he says, oh, look, here it is. I'll bring it out from the back and you see it's only worth a shekel. And we're not prepared to have the borrower make an oath if it is so easily proven wrong. Can't do that.
But if I lend you the fridge,
Yeah,
and you say it's been impounded,
yeah.
how's it been impounded?
Well, I'm only prepared to lend you a seller if you give me a fridge as collateral. I need that comfort. I need that reassurance that I can raise the money somehow. And I know.
But I'm doing a straightforward deal with you. I'm going to lend you my fridge, and I'm telling you it's worth 10 dinar. And then later on, you're saying, no, it's worth 50p.
So it's not quite our case. It's where the lender has lent a seller to the borrower, and the borrower has given his fridge to the lender as a pledge. So if the lender can't claim the money off the borrower because the borrower skint, the lender already has the fridge in his possession, and he can sell the fridge to raise the money. And the dispute is about what is the fridge worth, because the fridge has gone missing. And
the fridge, if someone pays for it.
I'm sorry?
If he's going to sell it, then the fridge is worth what someone pays for it.
Right, well, it might well be worth the seller. We don't know. But the thing is, that it's disappeared. So if the borrower makes the oath that it's worth 3 dinar, and therefore he only wants to pay a dinar extra, that oath is vulnerable to the lender saying, well, when I said the fridge disappeared, I was lying all along. Ha, ha, ha. I never made an oath about it. So it's not really that bad. And here it is. And look at it. It's only worth a shekel. And I got the valuation docket on the fridge door under that magnet. You see, look, it says here, it's only worth a shekel. You just made a false shavur. So Yabu sucks to you. Can't have that. That is a nightmare scenario for the base.
Not only that, if the lender's really on the fiddle, he could have manipulated the fridge itself, destroyed the workings, and therefore it would only be worth.
You're right. That's also true.
Once you start
That's all. You're right. You're right. That's all. That make it even worse. You're right. And the base would be none the wiser because they don't want to see. You're quite right. Yes.
You didn't buy it. I didn't inspect it. It could have just been
But facts on the ground are, as Izzy says, the fridge is we're only going to deduct the value of the fridge for what it can be sold for.
Is it the show?
Yeah.
Taking out the motor.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Yeah. But and Michael's right. That we risk not only the lender producing the fridge, but also that the lender could have damaged the fridge in the meantime, just to spite the borrower and prove his oath false. So we can't have that. So what do we do in this case where the lender was last seen with the fridge, or for another way, the fridge was last seen with the lender, and the borrower is making oath against the lender? We don't allow that because the lender can prove the borrower wrong and make his oath a false oath. We don't want that to happen. So we have to flip it because we're so worried about that. The price, like I said at the start, the price is worried.